Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
And you're watching Tesla Time News.
Episode 253
on Now You Know.
We are brought to you, as always, by our amazing Patreon patrons. You can help support the news by heading over to patreon.com/nowyouknow. There you'll find some awesome perks starting at just $1 a month, and you'll really help support the show.
This week's episode is sponsored by Blinkist.
Do you want to get the best insights from over 3,000 nonfiction books?
Blinkist condenses books into the pure essence, and it kind of makes you feel like a superhero. Like you have the superpower. I've just blinked a book in less than 15 minutes.
I just blinked Start With Why by Simon Sinek on how great leaders inspire everyone to take action. In just 7 blinks, I listened to the condensed version of the book.
And tell people who might be confused how you listened to blinks.
Yeah, you can either read the blinks, or what I like to do is listen to them in my car while I go for walks. You can even speed them up on the app if you want to listen to them even faster.
Nice. An even faster superpower.
Blinkist has 14 million active users.
And Blinkist also has full-length audiobooks with premium subscribers getting special member pricing up to 65% off the regular retail price.
And Blinkist now has shortcasts. Blinkist has teamed up with popular podcast creators to blink those for you too, so you can get to the heart of a podcast episode fast.
And speaking of why you should try Blinkist is because if you're watching the show, then you're smart. You want to learn, and if you're like me, there just aren't enough hours in the day to read everything you want to cram into your skull. So Blinkist is my superpower.
The first 100 people to use our link are going to get unlimited access for 1 week to try out Blinkist.
You'll also get 25% off if you want to try the full membership.
And the 7-day trial is completely free. You can cancel at any time during that period.
And we're also brought to you by BigBattery.com. No matter what you need to power, Big Battery can provide you with the latest battery tech at the best price per kilowatt hour guaranteed. Their batteries are easily installed, require zero maintenance, and they're made right here in the U.S. Pick up yours today at BigBattery.com and use code NOWYOUKNOW for 5% off at checkout. So Elon said full self-driving Beta 9 would be ready on Saturday, and
it was.
Our buddy Eli, a.k.a. Starman, tested it on a short suburban drive, and Eli was pleased, and wow, wait. There's new visualizations.
Yeah, F9 Block 5 tweeted to Elon. He said, after what we've seen with revised software for Plaid Model S, will we eventually see any new UI for 3 and Y?
Elon said yes, updated UI coming with full self-driving wide release. All cars with FSD computer will have new Mind of Car view. All 3s and Ys can be upgraded to have full self-driving computer. Then he went on to say, Mind of Car visualization will improve a lot in coming releases. Brightness, translucency indicate confidence of neural net in predicting any given object. Acid test is being able to assess with quick glance at screen if car fully understands environment. Okay, so I don't really get it here. First of all, what are these new visualizations and what is Mind of Car?
So, I mean, if we take a look at Dirty Tesla's video here, you'll see that the visualizations are different. Before, we had just been seeing a lot of dots kind of speckling the landscape, and that was telling us everything. Now there are true lines, but they are they'll be more fuzzy if it doesn't quite understand where something is, and it'll be dimmer, like it'll be see-through if it's not sure that something is actually there.
I see. So as we're approaching this intersection here, the intersection lines get more and more distinct as we get closer, as the car becomes more sure that that's what they are.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think that this is a really interesting part of Tesla's autopilot. Not only is the car able to drive, but it's also able to communicate to you what it is doing in a way that you can look down and go, yeah, that looks about right. If you were approaching a cliff and it was like, let's keep going across the bridge, you'd go, oh no. So I think it's a great way to build confidence with the system where people can realize, wow, the car actually is, in this case, like seeing cars parked on the side of the road. It's able to see lane lines all the way across the median. Really, really interesting stuff.
That's a really good point. I mean, if it was a black box and you didn't know what it was seeing, then you really wouldn't know if you should have confidence in it. But this is a way to let the driver know what is in the mind of the car. And Tesla white hat hacker Green the Only tweeted out, worked with Rice Fry on the Tesla depth perception neural network. A whopping 160 by 120 grid, so 1/8 of the native camera resolution, but hey, those are actual 3D points in space. I don't know how to make a 3D video, so just visualizing distance as brighter equals closer on the scale of 5 to 62 meters, the actual limit of the output. Okay, so what we're seeing here looks really crude, but it's not exactly what the car is seeing. This is a visualization of what the car is seeing. But basically, as it's brighter, it's closer, and as it's darker, it's further away. So could we see what this looks like if we overlay the neural net 3D video over the color video?
Yeah, let's give that a shot. Yeah, I mean, this is really interesting. Now, this is not something that you see, but it's something that the car is doing while it is driving along. I think that this is really cool that we're able to see two different visualizations. One that Tesla shows us, and then the other one, which is not what they show you. It's still in the car somewhere.
Right.
It's data in the car that this hacker was able to, take out and turn into something viewable.
Now, you might be saying, I mean, that resolution looks awful, but it doesn't need to be fantastic resolution because it's only one of the layers of the neural net. In fact, we humans just have a resolution of like 2 pixels, I think, when we're looking at depth. It's either this.
Safe. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, we're not driving around going, okay, that's 33 meters away, that's 36 meters away. We're either like, that's safe, or, oh, something's going wrong. But here's the big question, the most important question. When am I getting my button?
And Jeff asked this question to Elon. He said, ETA on the full self-driving download button for the general public. And Elon said, depends on how limited beta goes. If it goes well, maybe a month or so.
Okay, great. So maybe I'll be getting the button in August for my birthday.
Well, hang on. Not so fast.
Why?
Holmar's catalog tweeted, so basically in around a month, we'll hopefully be getting version 11 with the full self-driving public beta, the button. And Elon said, I can sometimes be optimistic about schedules.
So what you're saying is maybe the button will show up when my Rivian does.
So did you know that the Model S can go 60 to 130 in 4.71 seconds?
No, it does 0 to 60 in less than 2 seconds.
No. 60 to 130 miles an hour.
60 to 130 miles an hour?
Yeah, so you go 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds, and then 60 to 130 in 4.71 seconds.
So the Model S Plaid can go 0 to 130 in like 6.71 seconds?
Yes, that's really, really quick. For example, the Porsche Taycan Turbo S, which has a second gear, which was just for this reason, it has a 60 to 130 of 8.1 seconds, which means that the Plaid Model S can accelerate 0 to 130 miles an hour faster than the Taycan can accelerate 60 to 130.
Seriously? And all while the Plaid costs over $55,000 less?
And it's not just electrics that the Tesla trounces. The McLaren P1 goes 60 to 130 in 4.8. The Ferrari SF90 does it in less than 4.8, but still not as fast as the Tesla. The LaFerrari does it in about 5.
Yeah, and keep in mind that those cars have slower 0 to 60 times as well.
And they cost 5 to 10 times as much.
Okay, so what does the McLaren P1 cost?
$1.2 million. The Ferrari SF90, much more reasonable, $625,000. And the LaFerrari is $1.4 million.
Wow, but isn't this dangerous to have such a fast car sell for so relatively cheap price?
I mean, are rich people better at driving?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, yeah, it's a lot of power. You might be saying, well, it's good to not have so many fast cars on the road. And if they are fast, make them so expensive that you're going to want to just keep it in your garage and stare at it. But
and these are safe cars.
First, I mean, these are safe cars at 130 miles an hour. I don't know if there's any safety systems that are really going to be able to help you except for like an ejection seat.
Right.
But I think that there's a reason why Tesla did this.
And we're seeing so many videos now, people taking these to drag strips and just blowing away other drag times. It's just, I don't know, embarrassing almost to own a McLaren now.
Yeah. And this really cements Tesla's brand. It really makes it, okay, Tesla's the leader. There's no question. There's no, yeah, but once you go the quarter mile, then once you're going, once you're on the Autobahn, it's like that argument goes away when the 60 to 130 is so fast.
And this is a 5-seat family sedan.
Yes.
Like, this isn't even the Roadster 2 yet.
Exactly. This is what, I mean, it pressures the entire industry to follow the leader, and the leader is electric.
Or to go in some different direction. I mean, maybe you just give it up and you go, you know what? Okay, we're not going to go for speed anymore. We're going to go for something else. I don't know, amphibious.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hey, so if you like this video, please hit the like button. It really helps support this channel. I know that sounds weird by hitting a little button, you're helping us, but it really does. Just take 1 second and we can keep going with the show.
So the refreshed Model S and the Model X just got a $5,000 price increase.
The Model S was $79,990, and it's now starting for $84,990.
The Model X starting price is now $94,990. But the good news for the Plaid buyers there is that the Model S Plaid price has remained unchanged at $129,990.
Now, do you hear that? Do you hear that?
Their volumes were actually down sequentially.
That's demand, my friend. That's demand. I don't know how else you could possibly imagine that. That is demand for the Model S.
Yeah, this should return sales of Model S and X, which we're looking at here from hypercharts.co. We're looking at a chart from Q3 of 2017 until Q2 of 2021. In red is the Model S, and the Model X here is in orange. And as you can see, it's been drifting lower and lower. And then, of course, the last 2 quarters, they weren't really making it, so it drifted almost nothing.
Right.
But if we get back to kind of normal sales of about 25,000 per quarter, that's another about $2.5 billion in revenue that Tesla didn't have for 2 quarters and hasn't had for years. And that is a lot of money. And they've been able to be profitable without these sales.
Right. Now, you might be wondering, well, why was the demand going so much lower? It must have been the Model 3 and the Model Y. I think it's partially the Model 3 and the Model Y, but there had been rumors.
Yeah, we all knew it was coming.
Inklings, and, well, of course, they're going to have to refresh the Model S and the Model X because the design had stayed the same since about 2016. And the interior hadn't really had a major overhaul in a while. I mean, you look at a 2012 Model S, sure, the seats are different, but the interior, in terms of layout and in terms of general aesthetics, looked pretty much the same.
Let's talk about regulatory credits for a second here. You know, every quarter the FUDsters come out and they're like, well, you wouldn't be profitable without regulatory credits. But basically those regulatory credits, you could argue, have paid for the Model S development. So thanks, Stellantis.
So the drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You, has completed its 5,000-mile journey from the Space Coast of Florida to Long Beach, California. Of Course I Still Love You was carried there by the ship Mighty Servant.
So that's a ship carrying a ship that can catch spaceships.
Yes, I think that's correct.
But now, isn't SpaceX down a ship on the East Coast?
Well, Elon tweeted out this video of SpaceX's latest autonomous drone ship, a shortfall of gravitas. And then Michael Baylor asked,
will ASOG be fully automated? No tugboat required?
And Elon said, yes. So SpaceX has a new drone ship to make up for, you know, the moving around of the drone ships that they have to do, because they're just launching so many satellites, which, you know, bummer that they have to launch so many of these satellites. Interesting here, Viv tweeted out this close-up of ASOG that appears to show a Starlink Dishy McFlatface on shortfall of gravitas.
Yeah, so I guess that's why we're getting such better and better video now from them.
Now, why is it called a shortfall of gravitas?
Yeah, many of these references and names, like Of Course I Still Love You and A Shortfall of Gravitas, come from one of Elon's favorite book series when he was a kid, the Ian Banks Culture series. And all these names are in there. So if you want to know what's going to come next, read all 10 books. That'll only take. So we reported last week how the cheapest Model Y variant, the rear-wheel drive standard range, was released in Hong Kong. Now we have learned that this same rear-wheel drive version is now apparently available in mainland China with delivery starting next month.
So the standard range Model Y starts at 276,000 won, or 42,500 US dollars.
And Tesla definitely went after this to get a Chinese EV credit of 15,840 won. It's an incentive that's available because this variant starts at under 300,000 won.
Now, you may notice that it's listed with a range of 525 kilometers or 326 miles, but of course that's because China is using the GB driving cycle, which is a lot less realistic than the EPA's range ratings.
Now, Europeans, listen up.
Many European Model Y reservation holders have been getting emails estimating an August delivery date for their Model Ys.
Now, I know what you're doing right now after hearing this. You are heading over to the Wolfpack Berlin YouTube channel to see if Giga Berlin is all finished and pumping out cars.
But it isn't.
So where are all those cars coming from next month?
Shanghai.
Yeah, interesting here. A big question for me is what percentage of European Model Y reservation holders will want to take delivery as soon as possible with a made in China Model Y, and how many will wait for a German-made Model Y?
Well, what are the differences?
Well, what we know so far is that the Made in China Model Y will have 505 kilometers or 313 miles of range versus the 524 kilometers or 326 miles of EPA-rated range in the US version. So that's a 19 kilometer or 13 mile difference, less range, because of the cobalt-free LFP battery pack. So you're getting no cobalt in your battery pack. That's good, but you're getting a little less range.
What about the HEPA filter?
The HEPA filter with the bioweapon defense mode will be available on the Made in China Model Y.
But now the big question is, are they going to be making the Made in Berlin Model Y differently than they've made any Model Y so far?
Right. We don't know.
Is it going to be having 4680s in it?
Right.
Is it going to be able to do different things? So that's kind of the question that I think a lot of Europeans are going to be asking themselves when they go, do I want the Model Y now? Or do I want a maybe better Model Y later?
And the other question is, how long are you going to have to wait for the Made in Germany Model Y? Because, I mean, yes, the factory's coming along, but the German government is dragging their heels on a lot of the permits. So when are they going to, December, February? So do you just get it now or wait for how long?
Right.
So the EU's antitrust commissioner fined VW and BMW $1 billion on Thursday in a landmark case.
The EU accused VW, BMW, Audi, Porsche, and Daimler with collusion over limiting the development of emission control systems.
This case has taken about 4 years to investigate, and basically Daimler got let off because they disclosed the existence of this cartel that they were a part of in exchange for immunity from fines.
So for over 5 years, these German automakers deliberately avoided competing on making their cars cleaner.
And they did this despite cleaner technology being available. They wanted to keep making money, so they were willing to meet in secret and collude to keep making more polluting cars.
When Elon read this, he just sighed.
Now, you might be saying, didn't we already know about this? Isn't this Dieselgate?
No. This isn't Dieselgate. That was another illegal crime that VW did for years and got caught doing. This is a new, different crime that VW did for years and also got caught at doing.
Yeah, you wonder why on the show we are not big fans of some of these companies. It's because every chance they get,
all of these companies,
they save a few pennies to ruin your lives.
And you might be saying, well, you never know. It literally kills people. It literally gives people asthma. It lowers the quality of life for thousands of people, all because they wanted to make a few more bucks. That's called evil.
Yeah.
I don't know what else you'd call it. You might call it, oh, that's capitalism. No, I think you'd call it evil.
And it wasn't like one meeting. It was 5 years of meetings. They're just planning it all the time. So it got probably so rote that it was just like, hey, you want to go to that secret meeting spot and talk about collusion? Here's the other upsetting part. This is another settlement. This was another drafted by the lawyers settlement. They didn't have to actually go to court or throw someone in jail. This was just like, well, will you just pay this fine so we can move on?
Yeah. Give us $1 billion.
Do you know how bad this crime must have been for them to agree to the $1 billion?
Yeah.
That means it's a multi-billion-dollar crime,
right?
But they're like, hey, let's just pay $1 billion and get off.
Yeah.
And I hate being right all the time. We've said time and time again how Electrify America is a joke of a charging network. It was built on a scandal.
Volkswagen was forced to invest in a charging network because of their involvement in Dieselgate, that other crime that they did.
Now, last week we learned from a report in Reuters that VW is now looking to sell off a $1 billion stake in Electrify America. According to Reuters, Volkswagen is to sell a stake in its electric vehicle charging unit, Electrify America, two people familiar with the matter said, as the carmaker looks for outside funds to build infrastructure for battery-powered cars. Volkswagen is working with Citi to look for a co-investor that is prepared to inject roughly $1 billion into the division, the people said, adding that the company is expected to shortly reach out to infrastructure groups and other potential investors.
So let's just kind of break this down for a second here. You do a crime. It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
The governments of the world go, that was bad. You need to atone for your actions. And they say, you need to take a bunch of money, because you have a lot of money since you made all that money doing the crimes you did, and you need to invest it into electric stuff, because that's the opposite of the crime that you did, which is, ironically pretty good. We'll go with that one. So then VW makes Electrify America. Then they go, hey, we've got this network. Let's sell it. Even though you had to make it because that was a punishment.
Yeah.
What? Why was this backdoor put into the settlement?
Because VW has really good lawyers, and I'm sure they worked for years to put it in there, and the Department of Justice agreed to it. Because let's go back in time. You're the Department of Justice, and you want to be able to like say, we won the case, so they're settling for $2 billion.
Right.
And so you let them write a big gobbledygook settlement that in the bottom of it says, in a few years, we can just sell our stake in Electrify America and pretty much get off scot-free. That's what they're doing. Yeah. They're basically getting to sell off Electrify America, so that shows that they don't really care about it at all, and they get basically their money back.
Right.
They get to profit from the Dieselgate emission scandal.
And
what?
And here's where I fear for people who bought into this Electrify America network and said, I will be able to drive across the country using this network. I am worried, and I think it's perfectly reasonable for me to be worried, that this network might just evaporate.
We've said this for years. It really does depend on who buys in. I mean, if some auto manufacturer buys in and they really care about it and they really know what they're doing, maybe it'll do well. But if it's mismanaged, if there's no real incentive to do well, it'll just crumble.
It's going to be really hard to run a company like this. Like, forget for a moment, like mismanagement and stuff like that, which is going to be, it's going to be rife with, of course. Let's say that you were trying your best to run Electrify America. First of all, you started with a huge infusion of cash.
Right.
So that's how you started your company. It wasn't like we need to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. We went, oh, VW gave us a check for $2 billion. We got to spend it somehow. So, oh, what's like a fast charger that we can buy? Oh, the ABB one? Great. Let's just use that one. Oh, it breaks all the time and it's not very reliable. Oh, well, who cares?
Right.
And so it's built like that. And it's already out there. And now you're trying to, A, make money off of a network that was never built to be profitable,
right,
which means that it's not going to be profitable, which means that the company's going to close, which means that a vital piece of infrastructure for everyday Americans is going to evaporate into thin air. And it's not going to just go poof. It's going to slowly break over time. Places will not get repaired. You're going to be making a road trip. You're going to be going, great, I'm going to be able, and you're going to get stuck in the middle of Toledo. It's going to suck. And that, I've always been against that. I've always said that that's not what we need. And people are going, no, Jesse, you don't understand. It's going to be awesome. Well, it's not going to be awesome because it was built on fraud.
Hey, do you want to share this story on social media? Then our Now You Know Clips channel is for you. We chop up stories like this one that you just saw into bite-sized shareable videos that you can post on social media and share with friends so you don't have to share the entire Tesla Time news. Head on over to Now You Know Clips channel and subscribe today. Take a deep breath.
Yeah. Let's switch over to talking about something that I actually like, Cybertruck Owners Club.
Yeah, Tesla Time News is sponsored by Cybertruck Owners Club. There you'll find a crowdsourced reservation tracker that you can update and find your place in line. Check out their website for Cybertruck news, discussions, and community for Cybertruck enthusiasts and future owners. So Elon talked about it at Battery Day last year.
He said that Tesla was developing a way to extract lithium from clay using table salt.
And I think there were two camps on this one. One camp was like, of course Elon figured out a way to do it better than the mining industry has been doing it for decades.
And the other camp, largely the mining industry, was like, hang on, not so fast. There's no way you can just sprinkle some table salt on the desert and extract lithium. He's just saying this to get us to mine more lithium for him.
Well, it appears Elon had an idea that was worthy of the International Patent Office because Tesla patented the selective extraction of lithium from clay minerals. And if you read it, which I dare you to, it does indeed involve sodium chloride or table salt.
Now, it still involves milling and leaching, and we have no idea how much this will produce or how much it will cost. But if we believe Drew Baglino, Senior VP of Engineering, this process could result in a 33% reduction in lithium cost.
So, I mean, this is more than just Elon spouting something. This is an actual patent. And I'm really excited to see if they can actually pull it off. Like, I hope they're doing like a test. I'm assuming right now they're doing a test of it, you know?
Right. And that's the fun part about Tesla is that like they're doing stuff in the background. Like this patent wasn't like filed yesterday.
Right.
It had been filed like a year ago.
Right.
And we're just hearing about it now. So yeah, it makes Battery Day, paints it in a little bit of a different light when people are like, you can't mine lithium from table salt. It's like, okay, calm down. Yeah. But here's a patent where you kind of can.
Yeah. You know what's funny is that back in the 1800s or something, people were coming up with new ideas all the time, and everyone seemed very positive about it. Like, hey, did you hear about that new idea that guy came up with? And no one was like, well, that can't be true because we've thought of everything.
Right.
Now, it's for some reason, we seem to think that, like, that can't be new. We would have already tried it.
It's because of Wikipedia. You just go onto Wikipedia and you're like, well, it doesn't say it here, so clearly it's not true because Wikipedia is the compendium of all knowledge in the whole universe.
So there's this elusive EV that everyone seems to agree they would want if it were available and if they could afford it.
Oh, yeah, you must be talking about the VW ID Buzz, this microbus design that Volkswagen keeps taunting us with.
Well, now there's good news and bad news. Which would you like first?
I guess the good news.
The good news is that we have caught a glimpse of what appears to be the VW ID Buzz on the road. So maybe VW is getting closer to producing it.
Yes. All right.
The bad news is that it looks like this.
Are we sure that's not a different vehicle entirely?
That's a camouflaged VW. I mean, if you look at some of the lines, they're definitely from the ID Buzz. But on the other hand, there's so much about this not to like. I mean, first of all, you do agree, right? This does not look good.
No.
Like it looks like a van.
Which, you know,
Like for a van, it looks great.
Like a transit van.
Right.
So, like, I mean, take a look at this picture. So, I mean, first of all, they've added this line across the front of it, which was not in the original microbus. It wasn't in the concept. But they've added this, you know, very Volkswagen-y looking line.
My hope is just hoping. Could this be camouflage? Could they have stuck a bunch of things on here that are just going to be taken off later?
I think that front piece that's going to be the way that it is.
So again, this goes back to what we've said for years. You make a concept vehicle. Everyone loves it. They're so excited. Then you come up with the production vehicle and everyone's like,
They've changed so much about this vehicle. Like,
But why?
There's no even like, you know, you can kind of see it if you go from like the old one to the concept to this one. You can see the translation. But if you go from the old one, and let's be honest, the VW microbus, the original, it's perfect. Like, what is there not to like about that truck?
Well, and are we wrong? Like, please comment below. Maybe we're just the outliers here. I mean, comment below if you think this looks great.
And get ready, because people are going to disagree with you, my friend.
How did VW screw this up? They had a home run waiting.
It's not like they have to copy the design from some other manufacturer. They have the design in-house. They have the design patents and everything. They could have just said, yeah, we're going to put the cool V-swoop on the front.
And universally, everyone, when they saw this concept of the ID Buzz, was like, yes, I want it. What's the price? Let's go.
It's such a betrayal to me because you could kind of, now looking at this, you could see how the concept was going to be like, yeah, we're just going to make like a fancy looking transit van. Not cool. Not cool at all.
No. So Harley Davidson has done what they said they would. They rebranded the LiveWire. It will no longer be branded as a Harley Davidson. Now it is simply LiveWire. And they have lowered the price considerably. Original price was $29,799, so $30,000. The new MSRP is $21,999, so $22,000. Now, if you get the federal tax credit of $2,500, the price is now below $20,000.
Wow! All right, that's pretty good. So let's talk about range. That's important.
Yeah. So they released the range for the LiveWire now as being 146 miles of urban range, or 235 kilometers. That's the same as the original. So I'm guessing that this is the original.
Okay.
The highway range was originally 79 miles or 129 kilometers. That's at highway speeds. I'm guessing it's the same here. And that's the biggest weakness, in my opinion, is that, I'm not a motorcycle rider, but I think the allure of motorcycles is the freedom, right? And 79 miles just doesn't cut it. I mean, am I going to hit the road and they're like, all right, I'll see you about an hour when I take a break and rest for an hour to charge. And then I'll get back on the road for an hour and then I'll stop for an hour.
Yeah. I can see why they might have rebranded away from Harley Davidson. Like if a Harley Davidson rider was like, sweet, how far can I take this puppy? And the salesperson's like, oh, you going on the highway? Of course you are, with all your buddies. That'll 79 miles. Oh, nice, 790 miles. No, 79. Oh, and then I go to the gas station. No, you got to charge it for, like an hour. What?
Now, I will say, DC fast charging in 0 to 100% in an hour, and most of the time you're not going to do 0 to 100, right? It'll probably be 20 to 80, which would be half an hour.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's great.
That's just a break on the road. But The 79 miles part, no. You have to, I mean, in my opinion, you have to have 250 miles of range on a bike.
Well, who is this for, is the question. So it can't be long distance. It can't be, you're basically getting rid of most of the middle of America because 79 miles in the middle of America doesn't get you too far.
Yeah, LiveWire is going for a younger urban clientele.
Okay, so you need a younger urban clientele with a lot of money, because this is an expensive motorcycle.
Still, yeah.
A garage. Like,
yeah, well,
I mean,
somewhere to charge it, yeah.
Somewhere to charge it. So you need a house. Like, who is this for?
Yeah, I don't know exactly. That's a great question. They're going to be doing online sales starting in California, Texas, and New York, and then additional states and dealers are going to open up in the fall. Yeah, comment below if this is like, tell us what we're missing, because we're not really like super motorcycle aficionados.
And I understand you probably want this bike. I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
No, it's a sweet bike.
It's a sweet bike. I'm just saying, in terms of market, we're talking to like their market exactly. So like, I understand if you're like, what do you mean? That's me. But I think that for most of the world, this is going to be kind of like it only goes 79 miles kind of argument.
Yeah, I mean, the Sondor's Metacycle, which is coming out supposedly in Q3, and we're getting one, is going to have a similar range.
Right,
and
it's going to be, and the price is going to be
1/4. $5,000, and it'll have a removable battery pack, so you could hot swap it. So so Tim Briglin, an elected state representative with the Vermont House of Representatives, woke up on July 1st to find his Chevy Bolt on fire.
This is a Bolt, mind you, that had the latest software update fix installed on it that was supposed to make the battery safe from fire.
And now, just to remind you, there's been 7 Bolt fires in the last 4 months.
LG Energy Solutions, who makes the battery for the Bolt, has replaced 82,000 battery packs for the Hyundai Kona and Ioniq EVs.
LG has said that these battery fires in the Hyundais were caused not by faulty separators, but by badly folded tabs.
GM has claimed that they don't need to recall their Bolt batteries because their batteries were made in a different factory and use a different separator.
And of course, we just said the separator had nothing to do with it. Well, GM, it looks like you have made a very bad decision. A class action lawsuit has been filed against Chevy earlier this year over this battery fire problem. And I just want to point out that, yes, we're hearing about these battery fires. Up until recently, GM was like, well, just get the software update and that should take care of it. This gentleman had the software update. His car caught on fire.
Right. So proved that it did not work, which is not good.
Yeah. GM, you just ruined your reputation with some of your most loyal customers. These are your customers who got your 2017 through 2019 Chevy Bolt and now are worried about fire.
Right. It is not a good look for Chevy. And here's another point. When Hyundai recalled the Kona and the Ioniq, they only had to pay for 30% of the recall.
Right.
And
LG picked up the tab for 70%.
Right.
So that means if you do the math, this would have only cost GM $228 million to do a recall and change out those battery packs to completely safe ones.
So, I mean, right now, there are about 58,000 Bolts driving around with kind of batteries. Now, there have only been 10 reported Bolt fires, in total over the span of the whole thing. So I do not want to overblow this. I don't want to say oh no, go throw out your Bolt.
But I will point out, you have more of a chance of a Bolt catching fire in your driveway than a gas car catching fire in your driveway now. And that's not something that looks good for EVs. So GM, you're making all EVs look bad.
Right. And I don't know, it's really disappointing. If you were worried, if you were about to buy a new Bolt, you shouldn't worry too much because they seem to have fixed this problem with the 2020s going forward.
But I can just say, for the 2017 through 2019 Bolt, the price is going to become it's going to be like the Leaf. It's going to drop to nothing, not because the range is bad, but because people are going to be worried about it. And talk about taking these cars apart and using the parts for other projects. No one's going to want to use that battery pack for anything.
So, I mean, way to make waste out of just making a crappy product.
So let's go to a fantastic product. So you might remember the Lightyear One. We reported on this EV before. We're getting closer to the delivery date. Supposedly now it's less than a year away. Now, this Lightyear One has a price tag of 150,000 euros when it debuts in the EU, and they'll be making less than 1,000 of them.
The Lightyear One test car number 8 was out on the test track at the Aldenhoven Testing Center in Germany, recently testing range, and it achieved 441 miles with its 60 kilowatt hour battery pack.
Now, the drive took about 10 hours on a relatively sunny day, driving at an average speed of 53 miles an hour. And get this, remember it has solar panels on it, 25 miles came from the sun.
So let's just look at how efficient this EV is.
Yeah, Lightyear CEO Lex Hofsloot said that they have developed the most efficient inverters and they have super efficient in-wheel motors. So you did the math, Jesse. What did you figure out?
So if we were not taking into account the solar, it would have an efficiency at 53 miles an hour of 143 watt hours per mile. For non-Tesla people, that is 7 miles per kilowatt hour. That is, I will say it, pretty freaking amazing.
That's really okay. Let me just think in terms of our Model 3. You can get 3 to 4 miles per kilowatt hour in a Model 3. So this is almost twice as efficient.
Yeah, it is. And it still has 4 doors. It still has 5 seats.
That's a big car.
It's a big car.
And that's a really tiny battery. That's a smaller battery pack than a Model 3.
Right. Now, when I'm hypermiling, through the hills and dales of where I live, I can get down to sometimes like 200. Sometimes I could even dip below, if it's like really all downhill, I can get to like 180 or something like that. But that's not going 53 miles an hour.
Yeah. I mean, I think the key thing here is, you have to be kind of a techie to understand what's going on. If you look at the Lucid Air, they just piled in more batteries to get that 500 mile plus range. So, at least 100 kilowatt hours. Here, we're talking 40% less batteries to get similar mileage.
Right. Now, I know what some people are thinking. They're going like, who's going to buy this car? I don't care. This company's going to go out of business, blah, 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 blah. What I want to point out is that you have a group of people who have made this car. It literally did drive around a test track. They made more efficient inverters. They made a car that is this efficient. They know how to do it. So now, even if Lightyear One was just completely obliterated, there was no such thing as the whole company, those people still exist. Yep. And the technology and the IP still is going to be owned by somebody.
Yep.
So that can go to other projects, and maybe we're not going to see it. Maybe it's not going to get reported on because it's going to be all done privately. But that technology has been developed, and it's been developed because there has been a community around EVs who wanted to support them.
Yeah.
It's an almost completely crowdfunded company. So I just want to point out, we collectively did this.
Yeah.
And I also want to obviously thank the Lightyear team for actually doing the hard work. But this is what happens when people think that you can do something, is stuff gets done.
Yeah, and you're right. It may not be the Lightyear One model that'll be, their next model. They might put it into a smaller car or whatever. But yeah, all this efficiency is going to trickle down into their next designs, which it's the efficiency that matters.
Yeah, exactly. So Florida Mayor Dean Trentalis tweeted, Fort Lauderdale formally accepted tonight a proposal from Elon Musk's Boring Company to build an underground transit system between downtown and the beach. Other firms have 45 days to submit competing proposals. This could be a truly innovative way to reduce traffic congestion.
Excuse me, you can't dig a tunnel in Florida.
Excuse me, who are you?
Doug Relfman here, senior editor at Gizmodo magazine. My reporter, Darna Noor, just reported on this. It's a flood disaster waiting to happen.
Wait, why?
Because it would be underwater. I hope everyone there has a submarine to use in this new tunnel because it looks like it's going to be underwater before long.
But there already is a tunnel in Fort Lauderdale.
But you couldn't dig a tunnel because Fort Lauderdale is built on reclaimed land made of limestone, sand, and marl, all highly permeable and porous materials.
Okay, no. But again, there already is a tunnel in Fort Lauderdale.
But non-Boring Company tunnels dug by cities like New York and Houston have flooded when storms have hit.
Okay, but those tunnels are still there, and they're still in operation right now. The Lincoln Tunnel sees over 123,000 vehicles per day.
But the tunnel's flooded.
The streets flood during storm surges. I mean, should they not be building streets or repairing the streets? I mean, look, I'm not going to say that it's a terribly smart idea to live 5 feet above sea level, but people do live there and there is traffic. If you want to have a broader discussion of whether or not we should spend any money on infrastructure in all of Florida, that's one thing. But don't single out the Boring Company arbitrarily. Also, I have a feeling most Floridians would disagree with you anyway on both counts, so the point is kind of moot.
We wouldn't get eyeballs on articles if we wrote like that.
First of all, let's go back to the exciting part.
Yeah.
Boring Company looks like they're going to get this contract, another one, because towns are seeing, hey, this company did it in Las Vegas. That's what we were waiting for. That was the key. As soon as you show that it works somewhere, and especially in a town like Las Vegas, other cities are going to be like, great, they did it on time, under budget, let's do it here.
And it's only going to cost about $30 million, which I know people go like, $30 million? That's so much money.
But that's a tunnel.
It's a tunnel. I mean, if you wanted to build a road, it would cost probably over $1 million.
Right.
So, yeah, that's not that bad at all. And if you're alleviating traffic because it's not going to be on the surface of the, you're basically bringing your city into 3 dimensions. And again, there is a tunnel in Fort Lauderdale.
Also, I'm sorry, there's tunnels there's a tunnel under Boston Harbor. Like, you can put tunnels underwater.
Right. There's tunnel that goes across the English Channel. Don't tell Gizmodo that. Again, and tunnels flood from time to time. Oh, is that the worst thing that has ever happened? They don't disappear once they flood.
Right.
I mean, it costs money to pump them out. It costs money to, dig the sand out or whatever.
Right.
But it's not the end of the world. Infrastructure is infrastructure. And yes, I do agree that climate change is going to be a big problem and that Florida is probably going to be underwater. I do get that. But again, people freaking live there, and they have a say in this more than people from Gizmodo.
Also, no company is going to come up with a bid in 45 days that's going to match the Boring Company bid.
No, they're not.
So that's a done deal.
Yeah.
So check this out. I've been looking at drawings of this BMW CE 04 concept scooter for like a year and not really reporting on it because they were just drawings. But now we have an actual working prototype, so I thought we'd report on it. This scooter looks more like a motorcycle. It weighs in at 230 kilograms or 507 pounds. And in fact, it has to include a reverse gear because it's such a heavy bike that when you need to go backwards. But I'm actually kind of interested in this.
I like it. I don't like the look of it. I know that
is that because it's like an upright style scooter, but it looks like a motorcycle and it's confusing you?
It just seems a little long to me. I know that this is totally my opinion. I'm not saying that there's anything like terribly flawed in the design. It's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, well, let's look at some of the stats. It's got a 2.3 kilowatt charger, so it would charge in 4 hours, but you can get an optional 6.9 kilowatt upgraded charger that reduces that to an hour and 40 minutes. So that's really good. It's going to be available in 2022 with a price, they say, of $11,795 in the US. Not bad. 8.9 kilowatt hour battery, a 10-inch color TFT screen. So I guess the big question on everyone's mind is range. Now, if this is a urban scooter, then speeds won't be that fast. So I'm assuming with that size battery, you're probably going to get ranges 130 miles, something like that would be my guess off the top of my head. But it is a heavy scooter, so I don't know. BMW CEO Oliver Zipsch says that going forward, all of BMW's Motorrad models for urban mobility will be electric, which I thought is good news.
So this is the concept model. It will be really interesting to see what the production model looks like. Maybe
it'll get better looking.
It will get better looking than the concept. Usually doesn't happen. But yeah, tell us what you think down below. Do you think that this is like a viable scooter, or do you think that you just stick with an e-bike?
My guess also is that it's really long, and it looks like you could put a second person on the back.
I think that is redeeming, but we'll see.
All right, it's time for the Starman Report.
For the first time in history, the man inside the spacecraft is worth more than the ship he's flying in. By the time this video airs, hopefully Richard Branson will have gone to space on board the Virgin Galactic Spaceship Two, nicknamed Unity. That's right, Mr. Branson is gonna beat Jeff Bezos to space. Jeff was planning to become the first person in history to ride his own company's rocket to space, but if all goes well for Virgin Galactic on Sunday, his master plan will have been foiled. This is a bit of a sidetrack, but I kind of find it funny how much Dr. Evil's rocket in the Austin Powers movies looks so much like Jeff's new Shepard rocket. I've heard a number of people ask and wonder why Elon hasn't gone to space himself yet, and with Crew Dragon, he could have done that a year ago. But that's not what it's about for Elon. Yes, he wants to go to space, but what he really wants is to go to Mars. And Elon isn't going to risk his life like that until our future as a multiplanetary species is secured. All right, now back to Sunday's Virgin Galactic launch. The Spaceship Two is manned by 2 pilots and can carry up to 6 passengers. The upcoming flight includes 4 passengers, including Beth Moses, Colin Bennett, Sarisha Bandala, and Sir Richard Branson, the founder of Virgin Galactic. So how this is going to work is the space plane is going to be attached to a carrier aircraft called the White Knight 2, which will take it up to 50,000 feet before releasing the spaceship into the sky. After separating from the carrier craft, the Unity's rocket engines will ignite, propelling the spacecraft to a peak altitude of over 350,000 feet. The dropping a rocket plane from a carrier is actually not a new concept in air flight. In fact, the flight that Chuck Yeager first broke the sound barrier in the famous X-1 plane was powered by a rocket engine and dropped from a similar carrier plane design at 35,000 feet. Check out this footage from the X-1's historic flight.
There she goes. A big moment in a history-making flight. The really big moment. Through the sound barrier. The first time ever in level flight.
Thank you so much for watching this segment of the Starman Report, and I look forward to having you back for more of the most exciting news in space.
Thanks, Starman. You can check out all of the adventures of Starman, along with getting your own Starman suit in both kids and adult sizes at starmangifts.com/nowyouknow. All right, it's time for Into the Future.
So, study out of the University of Canterbury in New Zealand have developed a method to turn biodegradable plastics, knives, spoons, and forks into a foam.
But I thought biodegradable plastic silverware was, biodegradable.
Well, it is, although maybe a bit slower than most people think it is. However, it could also be recyclable.
So how does this work?
So basically, you take biodegradable plastics, you put them in a vessel, you fill it with high-pressure carbon dioxide, and you heat it up. The CO2 dissolves into the plastic, and then when you pop open the top and release the pressure, the plastic foams up. And this can be used to make insulation in walls, flotation devices, and therefore you will now have biodegradable foam.
Oh, that's actually cool. So when you're done with your house, let's say in 50 years or 100 years, and it gets torn down, it's just biodegradable foam as opposed to like some polyurethane foam that probably will never break down.
Or for flotation devices, let's say a dock or something, because all those docks that you see, floating in the harbor, they have something floating underneath them, and it's usually made out of plastic. If that was
and then like the microplastics break off, and then fish eat them, and then you eat them, but now this would be biodegradable.
So basically, it's more bioavailable plastic.
But can we just go back a step? Because when I hear plastic, I just assume that it's petroleum based. But you're saying that these biodegradable forks and spoons, what are they made out of?
So these are made out of PLA, or polylactic acid. It's a polymer that's made out of usually corn. And it breaks down into stuff that microbes can actually eat and digest.
So it still takes a while to break it down, but not like the forever that petroleum products do.
Right. Like if you wanted to compost them, you just wouldn't put it in the bin like in your yard. You'd have to take it to like a commercial composter that's going to get the temperature way up.
Gotcha.
And it's going to break it down a whole lot faster. But if you were to like throw it just like out of your car window into the dirt, it wouldn't take, 1,000 years to break down. It would probably take like a decade. And the whole time it wouldn't be like leaching crap into the soil. At least that's the hope. More studies probably have to be done on that kind of stuff.
All right, it's time for Going Green, brought to you by EcoWare. If you're looking for great gifts for someone or yourself, we carbon offset the manufacturing, shipping, and life cycle of your purchase, and we plant 10 trees for every purchase, and
we help cap a well with the Well Done Foundation.
So go to ecoware.us and check out all the cool Tesla and SpaceX designs we have, including Jeff who? So apparently the New York Police Department has gotten in on the Tesla Model 3 patrol car game. An NYPD highway patrol vehicle was spotted in NYC recently.
Now, many police departments are getting Teslas, including Spokane, Washington Police Department, which just got a Model Y. The Bargersville, Indiana Police Department got a Model 3, and we reported on the Westport, Connecticut Police Department Model 3 police car. We did a whole in-depth about it where we interviewed the police chief, and we went for a ride-along. You can check that out right over here.
And if you hear of a local police department getting a Tesla, please videotape it and let us know about it because we'd love to report on it. All right, it's time for Sunspots. Now, here's what's really cool about our channel. Do you remember last week we reported on Sunspots about the MGM resorts and they're planning to power their hotels in Las Vegas with solar power?
Right, but we didn't have any pictures or videos to show you whatsoever. You just had to take somebody's word for it that they were doing it.
Well, then our viewer Sean drives out into the Las Vegas desert, both north and south of the city, and he films these two solar farms being built.
This is going to be 100 megawatts of solar, or equivalent to powering 27,000 homes, and it's estimated to operate for 35 years. And if you want to install solar panels for your house, you can talk to our friends at EnergyPal. They are solar energy experts. They know the latest and greatest of what is going on with solar energy, and they will help answer all of your questions for free. You can do it online, on your couch, in your underwear if you want, and they'll help make a great system for you.
Link in the description below. Tell them Zach and Jesse sent you. All right, it's time for our video contributor stories, and I'm really excited about this week because our buddy Mike went down to Boca Chica and told us all about what's going on with SpaceX.
Hey Zach and Jesse, this is Mike in Boca Chica, Texas, and I just saw some of the coolest stuff I've ever seen in my life. So at the Launch Control Center, where you see the Starbase sign, is the first thing you come to heading east from Brownsville. And it's on your left side. You'll see in the background now, you see SN15 and SN16 there. And you'll see those behind the Starbase sign. The background of that is a bunch of shipping containers that look like they've been painted black. And then on top, they actually have solar panels on them. So in addition to the solar farm further down, this kind of shipping container wall structure is used in a lot of places here. Behind this, you got SN15 on the left, SN16 on the right. I was told by a SpaceX employee that SN15 will fly again on BN1, and that SN16 will actually get to fly most likely on BN2. Another couple things you see is the Olympus Mons Airstream Park. There's a couple of Airstream parks on here. There's also, I believe there's a Mars Pathfinder RV park closer to Boca Chica Village, where the Boxable is, and the houses that were actually part of the village are further down. You could also see the nose cone manufacturing tent. You could see the rolls of the steel used for welding Starship everywhere. It was kind of organized chaos, and we got there around shift change, so there was a lot of people going in and going out. A lot of guys walking towards the Stargate building. If you look at the Stargate building, on the left of it, it says UT RGV, which is University of Texas Rio Grande Valley. So there is some kind of association there with the local college out of Brownsville. Prominent on the site is the high bay that was missing BN1 because it had been rolled out the week before and it was down at the actual launch pad. Another feature that was easily visible from the road was the lunar nose cone mock-up. It was a nose cone that was painted white, had NASA on it, but that was right outside the manufacturing tents, which look eerily similar to the Model 3 assembly line tent that was put up at Fremont. And then continuing on, the prominent thing you see are the two dishes for the satellite tracking station. Also back there is what appears to be a Starlink ground station. There is the large solar farm, and then it brings you to the restaurant. And the restaurant is easy to find because it has fins off of a test vehicle there used as the awning outside. Right after that is another entry to Boca Chica Village and some other various construction elements, but nothing kind of exciting. And down the highway is the launch site and the beach. The launch site is actually on the right-hand side or the south side of the road. In the first gate that you drive up to, it's kind of a tank farm. There's tanks of all sorts, from LOX, liquid nitrogen, methane, vertical water tanks, and then kind of right out of the blue, you get to see Starhopper, and it is right on the fence. You're able to pull off on the north side of this road, but there you can see some of the suborbital pads. So BN1 is on one of those stands now, and it looks like it's being worked on more out there. When I first got there, it was still connected to a crane. I think it was on July 4th. But the next day, there were 3 crews that I saw on lifts working on it. The crane had moved elsewhere. The actual launch stand, see the elevator on the inside was not complete. You can see stairs going up, but the cranes, trucks, and people doing their thing. At that end of the site, you get to see the orbital launch pad, the legs and stand right there next to the vertical integration tower. As you move down the road, another prominent feature are these tall stainless steel tanks, which I understand to be the ground support equipment tanks, which are the shell of a Starship. So they're using that same design for their ground support equipment tanks. And beyond that is what I'm understanding is the power and comms building. Looks like an office maybe constructed out of shipping containers. Did not actually see a Raptor engine on site. We continued on to the beach, drove down, took a look at Mexico, set up camp in the back of my truck. And this is why I'm really excited to get a Cybertruck, because I think this setup that I have now is just going to be pretty much exactly the same, but turned up to 11. Because you're so close to the launch site, let me show you what the view was from the campsite. Had a great time looking at some really cool stuff. Got to get up close and personal with SM15, 16, and just wanted to share with you guys. I'm sure this will have already changed a ton when you guys see this, but I encourage anybody that's in the area, you want to take a trip down there, I'd say it's totally worth it. So although I didn't get to see a launch, I know I will in the future, and I'm really looking forward to that. And if anybody's wondering if it's worth the trip down here, even without the launch, it was amazing. See the work going on. It's actually real. I mean, I've been following this for as long as I can remember, but to see it in person gives you a really, really brand new and appreciative respect for just the immensity of this project. It's amazing. So now you know.
Mike, thank you so much. I feel like we have our very own boots on the ground telling us like what's happening up to date.
Yeah.
I also just want to go hang out and have lunch there. Like
I know. The beach, you can just camp on the beach. That's cool.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever reported on that.
oh my gosh, I can't wait to get my Cybertruck.
Yeah.
All right, it's time for our Patreon bonus stories. Now, if you head on over to patreon.com/nowyouknow and join us for as little as $1 a month, not only do you help support the show, but this week you're going to get to see a sneak peek at Canoe's next vehicle and see Tesla Cam help catch a gunman.
All right, we're back from the Patreon bonus stories. We have the Patreon shout-outs. Who do we got this week, Zach?
Martin Lind,
Oliver Martinez,
Igor Lungo,
Peter Petrovsky,
Simeon White,
Timothy,
Jeff Rostis,
Juka Kokonen,
Peter Zariev,
Yia Thao,
Lag Lawyer,
Isaiah Jefferson,
George Mitchell,
Teddy Botana,
Bojan Ruzic,
Stephen,
Gary Smuts,
Vinod Tandon,
Augustine Ortega,
Enath Amaraju,
Robert P. Boyle,
Gary Beck,
Breton Sauce.
and David Elzy. Thank you so much for supporting us. We can't do this show without you.
All right, it's time for Elon's tweets of the week. And Elon was feeling patriotic on July 4th, and he said, "Bless America, happy 4th to all." And we just included this because we get an early young Elon in the photo
Yeah.
there. He's Alcatraz in the back. Free Britney!
That's what Elon tweeted.
Taker said, "Every owner I've seen says the yoke is fine after a few days of getting used to it, yet people who have never tried it insist on making a huge deal out of it."
Elon said it's awesome. So it's a very Sam I Am kind of experience.
Dirty Tesla, talking about the new visualization, said it's very good. Any more animal visualizations coming? During the dot and box days, deer were displayed as boxes. Last night, my car stopped for a couple deer, but they weren't on the display.
Elon said, yeah, goal is to reflect reality, so screen render will become increasingly so. So maybe we'll get some deer renders. Are they going to do all the animals?
Maybe. Eva tweeted out this cartoon about how hard it is to enter the RoboBox thing.
And Elon said, but seriously, the pic clicking is so annoying. It's called CAPTCHA, Dad.
Paul said, "From a crazy idea to the world's greatest car, you made it, Elon."
Elon said, soft spot for the old Roadster.
Lex said, "Earth is a computer built to evolve increasingly intelligent neural networks."
Elon said, Douglas Adams for the win.
Weddle & Sons Roofing tweeted out, "We waited until one of the hottest weeks of the year to install the Tesla solar roof on this lovely lakefront home in Plattsmouth, Nebraska. If you're wondering if we took advantage of the waterfront..."
Elon said, working with Weddle & Sons Roofing has been a great collaboration for accelerating Tesla solar roof installation. This is a lot of work as tens of millions of homes need solar roofs. If you are a roofing company, please consider adding solar roof to your offerings. What a great little shout out to a small roofing company.
Yeah. And Elon tweeted out a high-res landing of the Falcon landing on the drone ship. And yeah, let's just take a gander at this. This is beautiful.
Dang. We almost never get to see that view.
I know.
It's really
I mean, it
cool.
looked like the camera was tracking it.
It was.
Now, this wasn't a drone ship. I get it. But I still think it was a computer. Here's a tweet he sent out of a supersonic shockwave.
Isn't space cool?
And Pranay said, it's surreal to think that within a few years, space travel, going to Moon and Mars will become as common as traveling by flight. SpaceX engineers are working hard towards achieving that. Starship is the key towards making life multiplanetary.
And Elon said, absolutely, staggeringly insane amount of work between now and then.
I mean, this tweet is all about getting people to join the crew. Mm-hmm. Chris said, have you looked at a variant of Starship that is essentially the Probe 2? Instead of paying to build two things, could a deep space Starship incorporate those science instruments? Reduce cost even a little more for science missions?
Elon said, yeah, that would be cool. Also, using ship itself as structure for new giant telescope that's greater than 10 times Hubble resolution. Was talking to Saul Perlmutter, who's awesome. He suggested wanting to do that.
Toby Lee said, has SpaceX ever considered tethering two crew starships to create artificial gravity en route to Mars?
Elon said, yes.
So that's like doing this?
Yeah, you're going to spin the two rockets facing each other, which makes artificial gravity in the rockets for the people living there.
Ethan said, with my Pure Vision Model 3 performance, I am noticing the car reacts sooner to slower traffic ahead when in AP on the highway. Also appears to merge smoother from 2 lanes to 1. I think these are the improvements Elon was talking about. Tesla, anyone else notice this?
Elon said, expect rapid improvement with Pure Vision.
Everyday Astronaut tweeted out, another reminder, Starship is a system. It's not a single vehicle. There will be variants of Starship that absolutely do not fit the normal mold, including tanker versions, lunar, and even potentially deep space versions. So expect some with and without legs, flaps, nose cones, etc.
Elon said true.
New Scientist tweeted out, GitHub's programming AI may be reusing code without permission.
Elon said, this sounds like it has potential to go wrong, and I'm not referring to reusing code.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, doesn't like AI.
Garrett Resman said, when I started at SpaceX, Elon was insistent that everything looked cool, but as an engineer, I didn't care how they looked as long as they worked. What I didn't grasp at the time was that Elon wanted to get the whole world excited about flying in space.
Elon said, absolutely.
Garrett, you do look cool. Sam Corris from ARK Invest said, GAO study finds that 2 to 3 million U.S. small businesses lack access to broadband. A Vermont inn and spa owner says she pays $78 a month for a 10 megabit per second download speed, and she'd have to shell out $335 a month to upgrade to a plan with a 40 megabit per second download speed.
Elon said, when even some in California, home to Silicon Valley, need internet so bad they bolt a Starlink dish to the hood of their car, you know it's a serious unmet need. And yeah, I mean, he's not wrong, right? Yeah.
Will Summerlin said, the vision versus LiDAR debate is reminiscent of the AC versus DC battle of the late 1880s. Direct current systems, as proposed by Thomas Edison, worked reasonably well, but could not transfer power over long distances. And then he kind of backed Edison here.
Yeah, Elon went, technically, high voltage DC is the most efficient way to transmit electricity, but they lacked good power electronics back then. Okay.
Careful there.
Should be called Edison, huh?
Elon tweeted out, Fellowship of the Raptors. And Owen Sparks followed up by saying, the cloaked one is 100% their leader. All right, we had a poll this week. What was it?
After this latest Bolt fire, would you consider buying a Chevy Bolt? And it wasn't as bad as people might have thought. A big reason for this is because, yeah, a new Bolt isn't going to necessarily have these problems that we know of. But most people wouldn't buy a Bolt. Most people were like, I wasn't going to consider buying a Bolt anyway. So there you have it.
All right, it's time for Community Mail Time.
Community Mail Time.
And I want to remind everyone, if you've got some photos, stories that you want to send in, send them to hello@nowyouknowchannel.com. So Kwan saw a Rivian R1S at a Costco in Huntington Beach, California a couple weeks ago and snapped these pictures.
What's up with that? Is that camouflage or is this announcing we're here?
Well, in California, that is camouflage. Eric sent us this screenshot of his Tesla app where he just noticed in the last 2 weeks that there is now a subscribe tab under the upgrades menu. So we checked it out and it says that we have all the eligible upgrades, but we're curious, has anyone seen something different on the screen? Like, is someone seeing a subscription button maybe? So our buddy Joe went for a drive in his Model 3 from Seattle to Hurricane Ridge, which is at about 5,200 feet in Olympic National Park. That's about a 100-mile jaunt. And what's cool is, look at the Tesla Supercharger map. You might first say, oh, there's no superchargers near Hurricane Ridge. But wait, turn on the 50-mile radius circles, and there's actually countless superchargers that you can easily get to.
Wow.
All right, it's time for supercharger reviews. And don't forget, if you want to shoot your supercharger review, all you got to do is go to a supercharger or a destination charger. It can have already been reviewed. That's fine. Shoot it in landscape and make sure you tell us what's going on.
Hello, guys. I'm here at the superchargers on the Interstate 11 between Henderson and Boulder City, Nevada. Just near Las Vegas. There's 12 stalls. You've got a gas station with a mini mart And over here you got casino and hotel. Other than that, it's just a lot of parking lot. Walk around. Today is a nice, rare, cloudy, a little bit of sprinkles. Usually it's going to be very sunny and hot here, but it's very convenient to get to, so I would give this a 7. Now you know.
Hey Zach and Jesse, this is Jacob with the Long Island EVs YouTube channel. I am here in Riverhead, New York at the brand new 8-stall 250 kilowatt V3 station, and it's paired with a ChargePoint CP250, 50 kilowatts. It just had a Hyundai Kona leaving there, had to help them get connected. First time charging. But this is a great location. You have everything here. You got Starbucks, you get your strawberry acai refresher. There's Christmas tree shops here. You got Dick's, Sporting Goods, Arby's. And across the street, this is actually starting to become a real charging hub, this area. Across the street, you have Costco. There's 2 EVgo 50 kilowatts. Just down the road, there's Tanger Outlets, where you have 6 level 2 charge point stations. And coming very soon, just across the street in the other direction, and Applebee's, there's gonna be an Electrify America 4-stall station. So this whole area here is turning into a real charging hub. I would rate this an 8 out of 10, just the proximity to where everything is around here. It's a really easy to find location, especially if you're heading out to the east end of Long Island. Only negative point I'd give it is that it is right next to a small NASCAR track, believe it or not, just across the fence here. And depending on the day you get here, it could be very, very loud if you're trying to sit in your Tesla and relax. Now you know.
Hey Zach and Jesse, it's Morgan here calling you in from Richmond, British Columbia. I'm at the brand new 20-stall 150 kilowatt supercharger. It's right in the heart of Richmond, just moments from Vancouver International Airport. So you can get your rental Tesla and bring it on down here to supercharge. And while it's here supercharging, you've got a fabulous huge mall. You've got some of the best dim sum and sushi and Thai in all of North America. So I would definitely rate this supercharger a 10 out of 10. It is just amazing in terms of services and amenities, many hotels all around, and it's super fast and so many stations. Now you know.
Hey, there we go. What's up, Zach and Jesse? I go by Boff. I'm here at a brand new supercharger in Sand City, California. I've got your sweet Now You Know merch on. It's got tons of places to shop, tons of places to eat, tons of stuff to do, bathrooms, you name it, and 12 stalls. Anyway, we come out here often, and as you can see, it's a very Tesla-rich environment. So for that reason, I'll give it 10 out of 10 stars. Now you know.
Thank you so much for doing those supercharger reviews. You're making the world a little bit better, so that way people going on their road trips or whatever can see what's going on at every supercharger. Let's talk about new superchargers in the world this week. And a big shout out to supercharge.info, where we get all of this up to the minute information about superchargers going live in the world.
Number 29 in Taiwan is the 2-stall regular supercharger at Taiwan City, Taiwan.
Number 79 in the UK is the 6-stall version 3 at Adderstone, UK.
Number 67 in Florida is the 8-stall version 3 in Perry, Florida.
Number 94 in France is the 16-stall version 3 in Dijon, France.
Number 99 in Germany is the 12-stall version 3 in Mur, Germany.
Number 24 in Austria, number 668 in Europe is the 16-stall version 3 at Weindoderstadt, Austria.
Number 27 in Georgia is the 12-stall version 3 in McDonough, Georgia.
Number 230 in California, 1,095 in the USA, and 2,859 in the world is the 8-stall version 3 in Temecula, California.
Okay, so not 40. Like we had last week, but that was still good. It was a nice smattering all over the globe. All right, so it's time for a Patreon giveaway. If you want to get into this big bucket of fun and win a $30 gift card to EcoWare, you support us on Patreon. The more you support us, the more often you get in there. Who's our winner this week?
The winner is Stefan Eden.
Congratulations, Stefan. You are the winner of a $30 gift card. You can head on over to EcoWare and pick out your own t-shirt if you want, or we've got towels, we've got flip-flops, we got just about everything. We carbon offset the manufacturing, the shipping, and the life cycle of your product. We plant 10 trees for every tea, and
we help cap a well for every order. A well that is currently spewing methane into the atmosphere, which of course is a terrible greenhouse gas. So that's why we're helping the Well Done Foundation to help cap that well and stop that from happening. So
Now, you made it to the end of the show. I think you're probably a worthy viewer to get a little tidbit that no one else is going to know.
Oh.
You're not going to be here next week.
I won't.
What, am I doing the show by myself?
Yes. No. You're going to have Steven.
Steven is going to be here.
From the Rich Rebuilds channel.
Our buddy Steven. It's been a while since we've had him co-host a show.
It has. And yeah, so I'm
Where are you going? Can you tell us? Is it top secret?
Top secret.
Oh, top secret.
Yep, not my canoe trip like last time. This is more of a vacation, not
Nice. You deserve it.
not a worky vacation. So thank you so much. I will not see you next week, but I will see you the week after that. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button. If you haven't done that, hit the like button. I mean, what are you doing here at the end of the show? What are you looking for something else? Just hit the like button and then find your next thing. If you haven't subscribed to Now You Know, I know that YouTube just keeps recommending our shows to you, so you don't feel any need to. If you do it though, it'll make sure that it won't just disappear off your feed, or it'll help make sure it doesn't disappear off your feed, and also it'll help really support this show,
right?
Because we can't do it without you. We really do want that little number to go up by 1. It might sound stupid, but it helps with everything from getting interviews with important people like maybe Elon someday, and yeah, we'd really love it if you did that. And hey, I want to thank everyone who's scrolling past here. They make this show possible. You know, at the end of a movie, you see the credits. These are the credits.
You can get on the credits, by the way.
Yeah.
Join us at Patreon, $5 or more a month, and you'll be on the end credits.
So thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week.
Now you know.
Well, I won't see you next week. Now you know.